On 2nd May 2021, roughly a year ago, I binge read a manga slash webtoon. The series in question is Bastard, and since then, my life has never been the same. Imagine being a female tutor teaching this young innocent sweet boy. He gets up, limps a bit, and then asks you to go to the restroom. You wait for some time for him to come and look back, and suddenly, this is Bastard. What happens when a story outright decides to tell you in the very first chapter, who the murderer within a thriller story is? To answer that question, you don't need to look any further. The answer is a sitting duck right next to you. So Bastard is about this young boy, Jin Seon, who is son to a man named Dong Su Seon. On the outside, Mr. Seon is a virtuous man in society who helps elderly and is a CEO of this small giant corporation within South Korea. South Korea? But in actuality, he is a cold-blooded killer who enjoys killing and torturing very specific kind of women. As for Jean really isn't a killer by any means, but he is the one and only person who is aware of his dad's true nature. And not just aware. In truth, he is also an accomplice. Jean is forced by his father to help him out, lure in women he is looking for. And not just lure them in, many a times he is forced to do his father's dirty work, such as knocking the victims out and dragging them all through the silent corridor within the apartment complex owned by his father. He carries the unconscious victims to their untimely deaths at the hands of a devil who wears a mask of a man. Someone so dangerous that he supposedly threw his own 3-year-old son down the hospital, giving him life-hampering injuries to the heart, making him a cripple for the rest of his life. But what would happen if this demon, this monster, decided to come after the very schoolgirl Jean was in love with? And that is the plot of Bastard. Now, since I've covered the summary for the beginning and basically read out the plot for you people, if you haven't checked out Bastard yet and are meaning to do so, I recommend clicking off, as I will start delving into spoilers from this point on. So if you're interested in the story and don't wanna get spoiled, here are your 10 seconds. Okay, 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so first off, I would like to point out the beautiful way the writer used comparisons within the story. How he compared the bullies with the hyenas, Manny with the lion, Dogsu with the devil. How he depicted the crossroad of decision, the devil's deal being Jean's privileges he had been getting from his father's money. They were all picturized throughout the manga just perfectly. Then there was the hammer hiding behind the painting. The hammer was the symbol of violence, and the painting it hid itself behind. Its name was A Father and His Son. See the brilliance there? Then let's talk about the aesthetic of the manhwa itself. I like the dark gloomy shades of color the webtoon used to paint itself in a dark evil tint. It really suits the story in my opinion and makes it look much more impactful. Next, I really like the character writing within the story. Whether it's Dongsu or Manny Kim or Jean or Kyun, all of them just have so much more depth to them. Take Dongsu for example. This man had the cruelest, most fucked up sense of morality one can imagine within another human being. To him, murder is natural, and that since people kill each other indirectly through bullying or firing poor people for profit, it's same as directly killing them. He also claims that what he does isn't for quote-unquote fun, but a necessity like eating or sleeping. This man is an extremely bloodthirsty, manipulative, and abusive individual, as well as a two-faced liar, willing to blackmail, use, or kill anyone who stands in his way in order to get closer to his main goal. And most often than not, It's killing some girl that presents herself in a highly specific standard. Dong-soo has certain standards on women he finds attractive and worthy murdering. These standards are colorless rather than dyed hair, neat plain clothes and makeup rather than girls with an intense serious look, preference for puppies over kitten types, preference for cute girls rather than mature women, preference for round faces rather than long ones, preference for kind eyes rather than fierce ones. All this is revealed by Jin himself within the introductory arc of the story. Now let's talk about the ending of the story, shall we? So one thing that stuck with me for the longest time was just how chaotic Bastard truly became when it came closer to its resolution. But despite that fact, the story somehow managed to make sense and somehow go in line with the sound of reasoning, unlike many other stories. So firstly, let's talk about the death of Manny Kim. He did well against CEO Slendy and even managed to pin him down. But despite having a full-grown black dude by his side, he ended up dying by the hand of Dong-soo. I don't know, maybe it's just me who feels this sad for Manny, but he had his whole life crapped on by Dong-soo. Dong-soo killed his mom, dad, forced his sister in a coma, crippled him for the rest of his life, and not to mention completely stripped him of his pride and status. Poor Manny. Now back to the resolution of the story. It's just executed phenomenally, the way Dong-soo tested Jin's love for Yoon throughout the story. Even went as far as to reveal the dark past of Jin's prior post-amnesic demon child state. How he too enjoyed carving people up just like his father. Then one day his mother found out about it and went insane. Threw him off the hospital she was admitted in. It was Dong-soo who tried to save him from dying. This kinda shows how even if Dong-soo was a manipulative monster who physically abused and even emotionally manipulated his son to the extremes, as a father, he still cared about Jin. Not to mention how many a times when Jin's life was under threat, Dong-soo became much more sloppy in his murders, much too hasteful. He truly cared for Jin. This was further emphasized by the painting which we discussed earlier in the end. In the end, Dong-soo jumps off the building and accepts his death. But as he dies, he carries with him a father and his son. A painting that didn't just signify his care for his son, but also at the same time, something that went much deeper. As Dong-soo died, alongside him died the evil within his son. The Jin that lived was not the murderer he once was as a child. What he was a man who turned himself in admitting to his father's crimes, going through his sentence as the accomplice of a now dead killer. And within the final chapter, you finally see Jin and Yoon ending up together, Manny's sister gaining back her conscious self, and Jin's mother finally meeting him as she is finally after many years getting discharged. Must say, I really enjoyed Bastard. The level of depth the story held was just amazing. But that's all for this video, guys. Let me know what you think about Bastard Manhwa. Did you read it? Are you planning to? What are your views in general? Tell me about all that in the comment section. Like and subscribe, share the video as much as you want. As always, it's the Cloak Demon. Hope you guys had a fun time and peace.